How can newlyweds avoid the pitfall of marriage? So we have seen a lot of people be married and get divorced. And so sometimes newlyweds are really concerned and really afraid. It's like, what do I need to know? How can I avoid it? So this is what I'm going to address, is about avoiding the pitfalls of marriage. And one of the pitfalls is living separate lives, kind of living as roommates. And a lot of people fall into this. And what happens is that people start doing their own things. They have their own schedule. They get up at different times. They eat at different times, and they don't spend any time together. So in order to avoid being a roommate to your spouse, try to coincide your schedule where you're waking up and sleeping at the same time. This really is a great way to bond, because if one goes to bed and the other one is staying up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, there's a disconnect. Where does the cuddling come in? Where does the time together? And it does create suspicion in the spouse that is wondering, what are they doing until 3 o'clock in the morning? So when you end the day by spending quality time together, and then you find a good time, and sometimes you have to compromise because you have those early birds and you have those night owls. So you have to kind of compromise. I had one couple who had this issue, and one of the things I suggested is for them to sleep, let's say if it comes to sleeping by midnight rather than staying up till 2, because the man had to go to work and it wasn't reasonable to stay up that late. And that's what they did. They started sleeping at midnight, and they had that time together, and they were able to kind of coincide they were able to work the schedule together. And it's so critical to eat together. I mean, at least one meal a day. If you're not able to do all 3, make sure you have that one meal a day together. You pray together. You do activities that you enjoy, because this is the way to avoid being the roommates. Because one of the main complaints that I have from couples being married, sometimes from 7 to 10 years, is that they're like, I feel no connection. We're just sharing quarters. We're living in the same space, but there's no interaction. We don't share, we don't feel, we don't do anything together. So this is really important. Try to get your schedule in sync with one another. Go to bed and wake up at the same time, eat a meal together, do activities that will bond you so that you feel like you're sharing a life together, not just sharing space. Another pitfall that newlyweds can avoid is being at war with one another. A lot of times, couples who come in to see me, they describe their marriage as a war, as a battleground. And so what I tell them is, put down your weapons. Stop criticizing. Stop using sarcasm. I had one couple they were married for 10 years, and they complained that all they did was cut each other down, and they were fighting these past 10 years. And even in a therapy session, I saw how they just enjoyed cutting each other down. And one of the rules I gave them is, no more sarcasm, no more criticism. And just that one thing just transformed their marriage. When they stopped feeling like they're going to be attacked, they started being vulnerable with each other. And they reported to me that after 10 years of being at war with one another, they finally learned how to have a friendship. So it's really important not to feel like your spouse is out to get you. Don't be harsh with your criticism. I mean, no one is perfect. You are not perfect. So obviously, if there is something that is bothering you, you need to address it. It's not good to suppress. There's not that mentality of, okay, just suppress, and then one day you're going to just explode if you do that. But it's important to go about doing it in a diplomatic, kind way. One of the most important things in criticizing a person, first of all, sandwich it between kindness. Say the positive, see the positive, so that person can recognize that you do see the whole picture, and you're not just pinpointing their negativities. So sandwich it between two kind things. You could say, you're a really hardworking person, but I'm not getting enough of you. I'm not being able to spend time with you. I'd like to see you more because you have so much to give. So see how that just, you sandwich it, and it's a lot less harsh than saying, you never spend any time with me and I'm really sick of it. That could be a real big attack. So when you give the criticism and you sandwich it between the compliments, it's a lot less harsh. And another way, another important thing to keep in mind is timing. Look at when you are sharing this criticism. The timing needs to be right. If the person is exhausted, if they are hungry, if they are under stress, if there's something going on in their life that is a crisis, this is not a time to be nitpicky. This is not the time to criticize. So we really have to be sensitive about the timing, and if we want the person to be receptive, right? If we want to just get something off our chest, well, we don't care. I don't care what state they're in. I'm just going to let them have it. Well, that is not going to be well received. So if you make sure that it's good timing, you use kindness, you sandwich the complaint, and you make sure that you are showing appreciation for the things that they are doing, and that way they will feel like, okay, I'm dealing with a fair person. They're seeing the whole picture and they're not just out to get me. This will have a really good effect in building your relationship and to avoid the two common pitfalls. And that was one is to avoid living as roommates, avoid having like a whole separate schedule. Some people go as far as like living in different states or different countries, and that really damages the relationship. So make sure you avoid living as roommates by doing things together, eating together, sleeping at the same time, getting up together. And another pitfall to avoid is being at war with one another. Put down your weapons, stop criticizing, and build this friendship. And this is what I would advise to newlyweds, because I know that it's very overwhelming to be in a new relationship. And be aware of these two things to guard your marriage, inshallah.